Hey, good morning, Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we are in Charlotte, North Carolina, putting in a sump pump in a crawl space. And just a few weeks ago I showed you the estimate, and of course now they've signed up or getting around to putting it in. Let's take a look at what we're going to do. So if you remember the video about how to find the problems in your crawl space, you might remember this scene right here. We've got a crawl space, brand new moisture barrier, and you can see all the water that's getting underneath of that. It's coming down here to this corner, and they have a core discharge, which is what all builders put in. They put this 6-inch pipe here that changes to 4-inch. They usually put a bag of gravel right in front of that. And of course, when the groundwater backs up, if you remember I showed you a discharge out in the backyard, you can kind of still see that green hump of grass. That's where all this goes, to a dry well. And it's been raining here left and right, so as that groundwater rises, now water from inside the crawl space, it can't go anywhere, and in fact it's working backwards and coming back up through the area. So we're going to put a sump basin right over here where this downspout splash out block is. We're going to pull back this plastic. You can see how muddy it is, but right here in this corner, we're going to go ahead and sink a sump basin, put a Zoeller M53 down in the basin, pump it up through a riser, and we're going to drill right through that wall and send it right outside. So to get started, what you need to do is you get a small shovel. This is just a full-size shovel. We have lots of different sizes. We're going to go ahead and dig a round hole down about 2 feet. And this is clay, but we've got good headroom, as you can see. So you're able to actually stay bent over. This only takes maybe 15-20 minutes. The hardest part really isn't digging it, it's putting it in the bucket and taking it out. And where we're going to put it is right here along the wall underneath the straw. And we'll just, grate it out, put the straw back over it. It helps that water flow away from the foundation. So while he's digging this, I'm going to go ahead and start the core, which is where we're going to come through that foundation wall. So from the inside, we can actually see this water line. It's right above the pit, and basically we are centered between this vent and this pier, which puts us about right here as a center. So what we can do is choose a brick and just drill right through that brick. I'll probably move a little bit this direction, but we'll drill right through that brick, and that way we're pretty centered inside the pit, because we want to be able to bring that riser up from the inside, drill through the wall, and then it's going to come back down the wall here and just discharge, on top of the ground for right now. That's what they want to do. So tools and parts for this job, pretty basic, lots of little parts. We've got some 1.5-inch plumbing parts because we're coming out of that Zoeller M98 through a 1.5-inch port discharge. And of course we'll start with that male threaded 1.5-inch adapter. We'll build that up with a check valve, and then we'll come up and we'll turn and go through the wall. So that's those parts. You need some glue. You'll need a hacksaw. I like to use my handy dandy Black & Deckers, and this 5/16-inch nut driver actually fits the no-hubs. These are stainless steel clamps. We've got a no-hub over here in case we need that. Most important tool of all, besides the shovel, is a Bosch hammer drill. You can use any type of hammer drill. We like to use a Bosch. It's very powerful, but this is actually an 1.5-inch hammer drill. That's the shaft. It's 1.5 inches, and these are diamond core bits. You can see the little studs here on the end. That's going to go right through that brick, just like butter. Then of course you're going to need a sump basin and a sump lid. And I went ahead and perforated this. If you can see those holes, I put holes all the way around it because we want the water, the groundwater, as it floods up, coming up and coming against the side of the basin, we want that to be able to flood into the basin and the pump lift it up and take it out. That's our marker inside is this water line, so we want to move it over, and let's just go right here through this brick, and that way we know we're good and safe. To be in the center of that. Start your hammer drill and just let it go through. So you can see that doesn't take long. We've got a nice 1.5-inch hole that goes right through that wall. So now we can slide our discharge pipe right through here, plumb it down, and we'll just send it down this way just a little ways. So just to show you real quick, this is our 1.5 inch pipe, and you can see it slides right through there so nicely. Really nice piece. So we're going to go ahead and make some cuts, and Chuck should be just about done digging that sump basin down there. I bet you he is. Let's take a look. Really getting muddy, heavy mud, and it's probably going to start to fill with some water. Is it filling with water? Yeah. A lot of groundwater out here. You know, clay holds it back, but it still comes through no matter what. But we're almost there. So on the lid of the basin, you'll notice that there's knockouts. I guess you could take a hammer and break all this stuff out of here. I have done that on this long piece right here. When we put it in a basement, sometimes we take these pieces out. But for right now, we're just going to go ahead and drill a hole right through this 2-inch one right here, because we're going to send our pump right up and out through this. This will be the riser. So now we have a good spot where we can put our riser. You can kind of see from the pump down below, what you're going to see is this line come up, and we're going to put a check valve. Usually I like to put them down inside the basin, but we're actually going to put this one above the basin so that they have a little bit easier access to it. Now we're setting up the Zoeller M53. They call this the Mighty Mate, and what a great name. This is 1/3 of a horsepower. It pushes about 40 to 50 gallons per minute, and it's the same as any other 1/3 horsepower on how much it pushes. But the difference is that this pump is made of cast iron, not one of those stainless steels or the polypropylene injected plastics. And the reason that's so good is because it acts as a heat sink. So in other words, say that the switch got stuck open and runs in 30 days. This stays cool because it's cast iron. And I've seen these things run for 30 days and come in, and they're still running, and all you have to do is fix the float. But anyways, Zoeller M53. It actually has a discharge port right here, so you don't need to drill a vent hole. And the reason we drill the vent hole is because when we put the check valve on, we don't want it to become airlocked, and they actually have it built in. We're going to start with a male threaded 1.5 inch adapter, so it's 1.5 inch threaded to a slip coupling here, and that goes into this little port, and you can see the screws. It's really nice setup, and yes, you get what you pay for. This is not a real cheap pump, but not real costly either. So screw this in as tight as you can with your hand. I like to use couplings that have a good nut on them, so that in the future, because this is going to expand, that you can actually take it apart if you need to. Although I don't replace very many, maybe a dozen in 30 years at the very most. Next, we're going to go ahead and put our riser on. I've already made this measurement. This will get up and out of the pit. We want to glue the coupling, the fitting, as well as the pipe itself, our riser. Good amount of glue. Get the grass off of there. Good amount of glue. We want to push it down in. Get the grass off of there. Push it down in. Twist and just hold it in place for just a second, because it's a liquid at this point. It's already melting and welding that PVC, but it'll try to work itself out. So hold it down for just a second, and we're all set. We're ready to actually go ahead and install this in the sump basin down below. We'll put this all in, put the lid on top. Remember, I drilled the hole. That'll come and cover it up to wherever. And then we'll put this check valve on there, because we don't want the water that we're lifting up, to come back down into the pit. So always, whatever check valve you use, you're going to see some type of an arrow, or it may say flow. Make sure you're going the right direction when you put it on. So now let's go ahead and drill the vent hole. Even though they've got one right here, this little weep hole, let's drill another one just to be safe. This takes a second. 3/16 inch hole. And again, what that's going to do is, as air, as your pump kicks on, if the pit goes dry and the pump kicks on, all that air comes up, and it can, because there's water holding it here at the top, it can make it lock in place, and the pump will just pump and pump, but nothing will be pulled up. So you need some type of pressure relief, and that's what the vent hole is. So a lot of people ask me, where's the serial number? And it's actually right here. It says PN53-001, 0001. It's always the same, and model number is M53D, and you can see it's 1/3 of a horsepower, and it's 115 volts. If you look on this comes in the box. This is actually your warranty and your installation instructions, and it's got the model. You put your model number and the date was installed. That's really what you need to be able to do that, to send it back if you have a problem. So we've already set the pump down into the sump basin, into the pit, and now we're going to go ahead and put the check valve on. We wanted to make sure that it lines up with this horizontal discharge that we already pushed through the wall. So set your check valve on with your no hub, push it on good and tight. Notice that those arrows are pointing upwards, and the clamp that holds that together, we actually put that on the pipe real quick. We're going to pull that up, pull that clamp up from the bottom. Let's tighten up that bottom one first. We're going to use a 5/16 inch nut driver, and we're going to make it go as tight as we can with our handy dandy Black & Decker drill. There we go, it's perfect. And then check the next one. I did tighten that one up, but let's check it anyways. Yep, and then the next one. There's 4 clamps. Good. Now we're going to make the measurement. What we do is we put a 90 up onto the horizontal pipe. We put a 90 up there, and we push that back. Whoop. Hold on. Okay, we're going to put that onto the horizontal discharge, and you push that back till it lines up, and you take another piece of PVC, and we're going to make this measurement. So stick the riser into your coupling, and now you can get a perfect measurement to whatever you want to do. Push down on your discharge. Perfect. And then we want to go to the top of that coupling. Make a real good little slice so you know where it's at. Perfect. Now we can transfer that measurement and cut it right. We'll have a perfect fit. So go ahead and glue the pipe as well. Go ahead and glue that pipe up as well. Always glue both pieces. Yep, lots of glue. Perfect. And you push it together and push hard and hold it in place for a few seconds. You can see that one slide on there really well. Hold it good and tight for just 2 or 3, 5 seconds. Perfect. We're all done inside here. That's really it. So now all we need to do is get that electrician out here, because they do need a GFI to have this pump installed completely. So when you're all done, on your discharge on the outside wall, it should look like this. It comes out of the wall and it goes down. Normally we would put this underground and we would send it all the way back out, but this house is for sale, and basically this is what they agreed upon to do to remove the water, was to put a sump pump inside. Much better is to put that line underground and either pump it out to the back, or because it's a pump, we can actually send it even better out to the curb and let that go to the storm drain. So again, if you're selling your house and you're trying to keep your costs down, you could just put in a sump pump. As you can see, this is houses for sale, it's under contract. Better would of course to have been footer pipe around the interior perimeter of that crawl space leading to the sump pump. Sump pump lifts it up and sends it all the way out here to the street. You can also realize that you can always add to the system. So putting the sump pump in, if that's enough for you to sell the house, great. If you need to do more, you can always add more. So again, if you don't have a Bosch hammer drill, you do need to rent one, or a hammer drill. But wherever you go, they're going to rent a Bosch. And inside your Bosch, when you rent it, you need to make sure that you get, this is a 2-inch diamond core blade, 2-inch, and that's the exact outer diameter of the 1.5-inch pipe. You can see other attachments you could get. When we have a really hard clay, we can use that paddle, because it can just hammer and it slices it, makes it loose. We also have a 3-inch one, and there's also a 4-inch one. These are for curb holes when we drill through the curb. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.